Good morning, everybody. Welcome, and I'll officially call to order the regular meeting of Coachella Valley Water District Board of Directors, April 28, 2026, here in Palm Desert. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Yes, good morning. President Powell.
Here.
Vice President Estrada.
Here.
Director Bianco.
Here.
And Director Aguilar.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum.
We have everybody, now that we have a 4-member board. Additions, deletions. So I'll note that item 8D on the agenda is actually going to be moved up to right after 8A because
Correct.
it's an engineering item. And so we'll put it up there with the engineering items.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other changes for today?
I'll defer to Sylvia, but she's shaking her head no.
No. All right. Public comment. This is a time set aside for public comment. Members of the public may comment on any matter appearing on the agenda and should be limited to matters within the board's jurisdiction. And the rest of it's listed there. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. I know we probably have a couple now, and we maybe have others as items come up.
Yes. So, Mr. President, I will go in the order received. First, I would like to note for the record that we did receive a general public comment from Ms. Yvette Ramirez, which was provided to the Board of Directors, distributed via email, and also hard copy, and will be added to the record. And then we do have 3 public speakers for general comment. First is Noelle Ragsdale. Ms. Ragsdale, if you can come up to the podium, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Morning.
Good morning. My name is Noelle Ragsdale. I live in Sky Valley,
There it goes.
and I'm vice chair of the Sky Valley Community Council. I'm here today to ask you to put the proposed ID8 divestiture on the agenda of your next regular board meeting, May 12th. We ask this because on the agenda of the most recent MSW board meeting, April 20, there was a resolution to, quote, authorize a state revolving fund application filing for the consolidation of the CVWD ID8 domestic water system project. An MSW staff report and a letter from your GM were attached in support. I have provided copies of all 3 of these documents to Ms. Ramirez for your later review. After public comments and considerable discussion among the MSD board members, and the motion passed on a 3-2 vote. The 2 board members who voted no noted concern over whether the CVW board had approved this, and concern that the wording of the resolution did not just approve looking into funding, but approved proceeding with the ID8 divestiture. We share these concerns. At your September 23, 2025 board meeting, where the ID8 proposed transfer was discussed, and where several ID8 residents were present, a motion passed 5-0 to, quote, continue this item until after MSWD takes action, then bring back results to our board for further consideration. Since then, we have been dutifully reviewing the CVW board meeting agendas, and the ID8 divestiture has not appeared on any board agendas or minutes. We've become kind of agenda groupies. We would like to know how this moved forward without further board discussion or notification to customers. So we ask you to add this item to your May 12 agenda so that the community will have an opportunity to learn about CVWD's role in this recent development. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. President, members of the board, I do have copies of the documents Ms. Ragsdale noted, and copies will be provided via email to the board.
Okay.
The next speaker we have is Ms. Tabitha Davies, please. 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Tabitha, and I am a ratepayer and resident of Sky Valley. And I am here today on behalf of approximately 4,800 residents of Desert Edge, Sky Valley, and Indio Hills who depend on the ID8 domestic water system. This board voted last year to table the LAFCO divestiture of ID8 to Mission Springs. You stated publicly that the matter would not return until Mission Springs Water District completed a financial and feasibility analysis and until genuine public process has occurred. Our communities heard that commitment and we took it seriously. Neither condition was met. And yet on February 5th of this year, General Manager Barrett signed a letter of intent to Mission Springs committing CVWD to the consolidation of water systems. When we submitted a SIPRA request for the board asking for the authorization behind that letter, your own clerk of the board responded in writing that after a review of district files, she could not identify any responsive records, no board vote, no closed section action, no general manager authorization on record for that intent. That's not a minor paperwork issue. That's the foundation upon which a permanent transfer out of our drinking water is being built. No one held a town hall in our communities. No independent rate analysis has been shared with our families. No one knocked on the door in Desert Edge or Sky Valley or Indio Hills to ask if we wanted this. We found out from our neighbors. So we're asking the board to put it on the agenda to stop this process and commit to a real public engagement with our communities. That means workshops that are held in our areas, that working families can actually attend at times that are reasonable, not mid-morning on a weekday in Palm Desert or Coachella. It also means that your board meetings must be accessible by Zoom for the residents in our area to attend. Many of our neighbors drive significant distances and work hourly jobs, and critically, there is currently no language interpretation available at these meetings. A large portion of our community speak Spanish, as well as Tagalog, as their primary language. Accessibility is not optional, it's required for any process that's going to claim to be public participation. We're also asking for an independent financial analysis of what this transfer means for our rates, for a full public accounting of how this letter of intent was authorized without record of board approval. And I want to close by speaking directly to you, Director Aguilar. You represent Division 1, which includes Desert Edge, Sky Valley, and Indio Hills. We are your constituents. We are the ratepayers. We elected you to this seat. And I want to say respectfully, since we believe you have the opportunity right now to stand up for the people in your area who put you in that chair, we're not asking you to do anything extraordinarily. We're asking you to do exactly what this position requires. Listen to us, advocate for us, and make sure that a decision this permanent is not made without us. You hold an elected office. That is the trust of the people of ID8, and we're watching to see whether that trust is honored, and we really hope that it will be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have, is it Carolyn McDonald? Carlin. Either one. Just make sure you hit the microphone.
Hi, good morning. My name is Carlin McDonnell, and I live in Sky Valley. And I'm here very briefly to talk about the consolidation of the Coachella Valley Water District with Golden State and my displeasure at the lack of communication and transparency that's been happening with this process. If it's been insinuated that there are not that many people that are upset about this transfer, but I don't know how you could possibly or anyone could make that statement, because if you were really serious about including the community that's most affected by it, you would have postcarded every single person that's affected in Spanish and English, explaining very clearly what the plan was. There have been financial numbers thrown around that we are not sure are accurate, worst case scenario versus realistic. And a lot of people that are out there cannot make it to an 8 o'clock meeting in Coachella. I mean, the fact that we're here shows you that we've taken time off from what we normally do to be here to speak. Also, we went to the Golden State Water Board meeting and asked them to table the item for more research, more conversation, and more transparency. And I can't stress enough the lack of transparency that we find in this process. And they did not table it, sadly. We don't really know what the letter of intent means, intent to whatever. So we want you all to be very clear about what's happening to us, the people who live out in Sky Valley, we love you all. we really don't want you all to leave us, but we want to make sure that if you do transfer us over to another water district, that you're doing it in good faith, that the numbers for the reason of transfer are real, and that you're not going to be doing any other cleanups of any other areas under your jurisdiction and leaving us to go to someplace else. We have absolutely no confidence the Golden State Water District is going to take good care of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is all the speaker cards that I have received for general public comment.
Is there anybody else wishing to make general public comment that did not fill out a card? Hearing none. No. We will move on. Oh. This is our special presentation recognitions. We have 5 anniversaries and 1 retirement, and out of those, and they're all listed, we have 2 of the anniversaries and 1 retirement presence, and we have a nice write-up on each of those. So what I'll do is read those 3, and then we'll have each of you come up individually for a little photo and possibly a comment or 2. So first we have Larry Cobb, wastewater. This is an anniversary. Larry Cobb, wastewater plant manager 4, with 25-year anniversary. Larry Cobb was no stranger to the sanitation and water field when he joined CVWD in 2001. Growing up in Salton City, he spent each summer from 8th grade through his senior year working in the Salton City Community Service District's wastewater department. There he learned about their collection system, an opportunity made possible by the local school district. After graduating from high school, he served 6 years in the Army in Texas. Upon returning home, he began his career at CVWD as an operator in training for Warp 10 and advanced to a Grade 1 operator within a year. Several promotions followed, with each wastewater grade certification Larry acquired. Today, Larry serves as the wastewater plant manager for Warp 7 in Indio and holds a Grade 5 certification. He manages a staff of 8, oversees the quality of the wastewater treated at the plant, and manages its construction needs. Outside of work, Larry enjoys traveling and cooking, everything and anything, as he puts it. As a Disneyland annual pass holder, he frequently visits the park with his family. At home, he is supported by his wife of 10 years, Lori, his daughter Fabiana, and her husband Andrew, and his daughter Annabelle, and his granddaughter Nova. We probably want to hear what the favorite thing about Disneyland is, but that'll be during your speech. Next anniversary, also 25 years, Amr Hassoune. After a quarter century of service, Amr Hassoune looks back on the journey that shaped his career at CVWD with gratitude and pride. Born and raised in Jordan, Amr, who holds dual citizenship, came to the United States on a student visa to study English at Vanderbilt University in Tennessee. He then moved to Los Angeles to attend adult school and further master the language. He went on to study at Compton College, where he earned an Associate of Science degree before transferring to Cal State Long Beach and graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. Amr began working for the district in 2001 as a junior engineer after answering a job ad in the LA Times. He later advanced into roles that included well construction coordinator and assistant engineer. Today, as an Engineer 1, he works on general district projects and manages domestic water capital improvement projects. Quote, "I feel blessed to help provide the most precious commodity on earth, something that benefits the entire community." Out of the office, Amr enjoys being on the soccer field as an AYSO referee. His home life includes his wife of 35 years, Gina, and their son, Ali, 21, who's studying civil engineering at Cal Poly Pomona. Shows you how quality our staff is here. It's amazing. Okay, and a retirement with 18 years, Carlos Basto. Carlos began his career on January 14th, 2008 as an electrician 1, quickly setting himself apart through his dedication and technical ability. In late 2009, he transferred into the HVAC field as an air conditioning assistant, where he continued to grow and expand his knowledge. Through hard work and commitment, Carlos was promoted to air conditioning technician in March of 2012, and shortly after reclassified as an HVAC technician 2. Over the years, he became not only a highly skilled and dependable technician, but also someone others naturally turned to for guidance. He took pride in mentoring his coworkers, always willing to share his knowledge, offer support, and help others succeed. In 2024, Carlos achieved the role of senior HVAC technician, an accomplishment that reflects his experience, leadership, and professionalism. But beyond titles and achievements, Carlos will be remembered for the way he carried himself every day. He greeted everyone with a warm smile, brought a positive attitude to the workplace, and built strong, lasting relationships throughout the district. Outside of work, Carlos is a proud father of 2 boys. He enjoys staying active through bike riding, working out, and traveling, always making the most of his time and embracing life with energy and enthusiasm. As Carlos steps into retirement, he leaves behind more than just a strong work record. He leaves a lasting impact on the people he worked alongside. His mentorship, friendship, and positive spirit will be greatly missed but never forgotten. So all 3 of you, well done. Congratulations.
Well, make sure you come up, but if we could have Larry come up first. Yeah. Please. Try not to drop this.
There you are. That's for you. Oh, thank you. Get the middle here.
Scoot over here. No, let me just get the microphone. And I think President Powell had a question.
I do. This is not really a back and forth interview, but we need.
So Disneyland is a happy wife, happy life style for me. I've been married to the new wife for 10 years, and we just came back from a 10-day trip in Florida where we took the grandbaby. So it makes her happy, and if she's happy at home, I'm happy.
Well, that makes the best part of Disneyland. Yes, but I get it.
That's the major reason.
I get it. Anything else?
No, I just want to say thank you. The 25 years that I've spent here, I've spent with a lot of great people, and a lot of them are in this room too. And I've enjoyed my time. So I have a few more left, at least, and I enjoy the time that I have, and will appreciate the rest of it. Thank you very much.
Larry, thanks very much. All right, is it working now? Over to you.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank God, the board of directors, upper management, and all district employees for the hard work they do day in and day out. I really appreciate the opportunity. I've been working here for 25 years. In fact, the guy who hired me is here. What a coincidence. John Corella, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to be a part of CBWD. It's been blessing. I've been fortunate to be able to manage projects and provide the most priceless and precious commodity on earth, water, which is means life in the desert. It's amazing. Also, my attitude was always gratitude for the opportunity to work for the district. I do appreciate that very much. People work hard here. We should appreciate them more and give them the credit they deserve. My message for all the employees, even new employees gonna come on board, or anyone who works on a project or assignment at home, be positive. stay focused and seek perfection in what you do, because at the end, everyone gonna benefit from what you do. So thank you again. Thank you, board. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And we appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
And we get Carlos come down. God, you didn't change clothes, you got regular clothes on. Are we centered, Jess? Yeah. Okay, good. Your turn.
Good morning, everybody. I was here for 18 years. Very happy 18 years. I started here when I was 38. And things changed a lot in 18 years. I went through a lot of changes. This building was built in 2011. I remember walking for the first time in 2011, and I was in charge to check everything from in the HVAC side. And this building, I always told my baby, because I was the one who came over and checked that everything was okay for the HVAC. And just, I mean, it's been great. It's hard for me to leave, because I live here a lot of friends and coworkers and people that I worked for years and became friends more than coworkers. And thank you for everything, and best of luck for everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a
It
pretty,
is always sad when we lose good people.
it's a pretty high quality group there. All right, very nice. This brings us to the consent calendar with items 6A through F.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed 4-0. And on to the action calendar, engineering, 8A.
Mr. President, if I
Yes.
might, please.
Yes, go ahead.
I have been advised by legal counsel that I must recuse myself on this item because I own an investment property in one of the 5 targeted neighborhoods.
Okay. We'll come get you.
Okay.
When we're done with it. Good morning, Armando.
Good morning, President Powell, members of the board, audience, fellow staff. My name for the record is Armando Rodriguez with the engineering department. Mr. President and members of the board, I would like to acknowledge and welcome the Cathedral City John Corella, Public Works Director, and Elizabeth Medina. Yes.
Okay.
And also Elizabeth Medina, who is the project manager for Cathedral City. They have done a great support in securing a planning grant, $2.4 million for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund, making this project very feasible. So definitely would like to welcome John Corella and Elizabeth Medina. Thank you for coming. We are here to seek authorization for the general manager to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Coachella Valley Water District and the City of Cathedral. The project aims to convert existing septic systems to centralized sewer. There is 6 targeted areas. Only 5 are shown here. The 5 that are within CWD's sewer jurisdiction is Whispering, Palms, South City neighborhood, Royal Palms Mobile Home Park, Caliente Sands, and Papaya Pomegranate neighborhood. There is an additional 6, but that is under Desert Water Agency jurisdiction. and it's on the eastern boundary of Cathedral City, eastern south, and that is Lakeview Condos, which they'll have a separate memorandum understanding with Cat City, not part of within the project that City is undertaking. In terms of the scope, the project will construct a lot of sewer pipelines within Cat City, about 31,000. And we're targeting a total of 906 equivalent units once you account for the water agencies, we're about 1,000 or so. So it's a huge undertaking, and the project is about $75 million. And at this stage, with the securement, with Cathedral City securing $2.4 million of state revolving fund, the project aims to, at this current time, to plan, design, and do the environmental. And then once that's completed, we'll go ahead, CWD will go ahead and submit a construction contract, and so that we can try to secure the $75 million. And then CWD will undertake the construction effort on that side. So for us to do these steps, we want to be able to execute a memo of understanding with the city. So the city will be doing all the planning and design. We'll include the environmental, the engineering report, the construction plans and document specifications, and prepare the grant for construction. And under this MOU, CWD's responsibility will be submit the construction funding grant to the State Water Resources Control Board, review all technical reports and plans, and then also acquire any lands needed, but through the funding, grant funding. And also bid the project, award it, and construct it.
So this grant is 100% of the project. Is that right?
Yes, there would be.
That's amazing.
It's 100% of that grant or the project. There is a small portion that we still have to design, because we might have to upgrade downstream because there's a choke point. But there's most of it 100% is grant funded.
How many residents are we hooking up total? I don't see the number.
I don't have that with me, but it's roughly about 1,000 EDUs, which are 1,000 homes. If you put 2.5 or 3 per home, that's the level of effort that the residents that we're seeking here.
So it's roughly around 1,000.
1,000 homes, yes.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, this memorandum, it basically frames it is a framework under how CWD and Cat City will undertake this septic to sewer conversion project. They have a similar MOU, and that's scheduled for May 13th, once they approve our MOU, once the board approves our MOU. I know John Krell is here, and Liz is here. I don't know if you guys want to speak to the project or not.
Sure. Come on up.
First of all, appreciate Mr. Rodriguez's presentation. Mr. President, Vice President, fellow directors, General Manager, and the rest of the staff, Cathedral City really appreciates you going down this path with us. It's been a long, arduous journey. The funding is 100%. There's a lot of exit strategies if it's not 100%, where we can look back, just step back and take a look at what the value is if there is some money that had to be funded. But right now, it's all 100%. I brought with me Elizabeth Medina, who's been really carrying the lion's share. She's the project manager working with the state to get all this information, get this project rolling, and all the communication with our internal staff and your internal staff. So we really urge support. Our city council is prepared to act and move on the agreement as well. So just appreciate that. And if you have any technical questions, the answer on that other one was 948 residents, connections. Elizabeth is available for that as well.
So that's how many meters you're going to have.
Laterals.
Sewer connections.
Connections, yeah, not
Residents.
not meters, but yeah, not residents. So it's probably times 3 on the residents, probably. I don't know,
Times 4.
times 4.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, make it
So
bigger.
if you-
Make it bigger.
Three
Take
to
five.
4,000 people that are affected.
Correct.
So when you say that that you think that you might get all of the total cost of the project through the grant, is it because you've used the number of connections to try to give you some total cost that you could potentially go for?
Well, state revolving fund revolves on some maximums. So if you don't exceed an amount, they have the funding available. Right now, they have the funding available. Once again, we don't know what's going to happen in upcoming years, but right now they've allocated enough funds for us. So our contracts are at least showing those amounts. Obviously, we're going through the engineering and design process. Out of that's going to be the construction estimates, and from there we'll go to the next steps. So once again, it's built in with a lot of exit strategies. There's going to probably be there's a few more agreements to do, but these are initial steps. As stated, there is one area in Desert Water Agency, so we're performing the same task for them as well in their jurisdiction as well.
Jim, I have a question for you. So I think before I was on the board, I remember someone talking about Bermuda Dunes Country Club. What's different between that? Is it just the willingness of either Cathedral City, the city versus the county to do something?
I'm not familiar with the Bermuda Dunes project that you're referring to. I know Myoma Dunes has come to us because of Chrome 6 to basically consolidate the domestic water system, but I'm not familiar
I
with it.
thought there was years ago a study to see about putting them on the sewer, hooking them up to sewer. But,
There may have been, I'm
I don't
not
remember
familiar
it.
with it. Armando may be familiar with it.
Oh. I just want to know that.
There was some community meetings with Bureau of Dunes. They elected a path of doing an assessment district. They were concerned in regards to their streets and the age of their streets, so they wanted to be able to do the sewer in addition to the street improvements that we're going to undertake. Once we did a quick preliminary study in regards to and advised them of what the cost per home was, they took a vote or preliminary vote to gauge interest, and that interest came back as low.
So that one, the homeowners were going to end up having to pay
They
for it.
spearheaded.
And this one's a little different because they're not paying anything.
This is a little different.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
Under the current plan.
Under the current plan.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully that's the one that we get to execute on is the
Yeah.
current plan.
Okay,
Good.
thanks.
All right. Well,
Thanks, John.
there's a question before us about authorizing the execution of this MOU. I'll move that we do that. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes
very
3-0 with one recused. Yeah. Thanks, Armando. Thank you, John. And
Armando, if
Elizabeth.
you wouldn't mind, do me a favor and retrieving Director.
he got it.
I guess Director Bianco's got it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
John.
Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's a good project. A long time coming too. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Well, we're still just in the.
Still a long ways away.
Yeah.
I know it's a long ways away. All right, we're all back. David, come on up. We're going to do this farm lease with West Coast Turf. Go ahead.
Good morning. Purpose of this item is to authorize the general manager to execute a farm lease with West Coast Turf for ongoing farming operations on CBWD fee-owned land, and to authorize the general manager to execute future ministerial items that are non-monetary associated with the request, and to declare the said parcel to be exempt surplus land under the California Surplus Land Act. The parcel in question is about 35.83 acres. The lease provides for 10 years with an option to extend for 5. It starts out the first year at $600 per acre. The appraisal appraised 7 properties. The average of that was about $614, but there was a $1,000 outlier in terms of a monthly rate. So they arrived at the $600 per acre with a 3% inflator every year after that. The West Coast Turf would be responsible for any county assessed possessory tax, which is a tax required when a private entity uses government property. Any sublet would require CBWD written consent, and the lease is not subject to the Surplus Land Act, and here are the 3 reasons why. One is CBWD is not disposing of surplus land as a consequence of this request. And the second one is the project is still used for CBWD, or rather the property is still used for CBWD, or will be used for CBWD purpose of generating revenue. And third, the property still has the ability to be used for CBWD purposes. And with that, I'll leave it or put it up for any questions.
All right. Well, you know, the attachment with the appraisal, I didn't see those comps in there.
I noticed that this morning. I can provide that afterwards.
It was a little weird. I'm like, I hope you didn't pay a lot of money for this thing. But that's because we didn't get the whole thing. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Fair enough.
I would move approval.
Is there a second? I'll second that motion. We good? Or any other discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. All right. On to 8, what formerly 8B, I think it's now 8C. This is the engineer's report on water supply assessments for the Mission Creek West and East. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, President Powell, Vice President Estrada, members of the board and staff. My name is Levi Anderson, and I'm here this morning to present the engineer's report on water supply and replenishment assessment for fiscal year 2026-2027, which was prepared pursuant to Water Code Section 31631. Moving ahead, so the engineer's report primarily addresses 3 items. The first, it provides a description or it summarizes the groundwater conditions based on the most recent Sustainable Groundwater Management Act annual reports for water year 2025. So these reports were presented to the board at the March 24th regular meeting. Second, it documents groundwater production and replenishment totals for calendar year 2025. And third, it presents income statements and the recommended FY 2027 replenishment assessment charges. So the recommended rack rates are listed here per AOB. $172 in the west, $135 in Mission Creek, and $73 in the east. So these updated rates are based on the latest costs of service study as well as anticipated program costs. So with that, the recommended action today is for the board to acknowledge receipt of the engineer's report per water code requirements. I'm happy to continue with the rest of the slides. Otherwise, we could move ahead with the recommendation, or I can answer any questions you'd like.
Thank you. And we have the hard copy here. It's always good to have.
Suitable for your coffee table at home.
It's very nice. This is one of the good ones. We don't do the hard copy in the budget book anymore, do we? Are we not doing that?
So we took a little break on the budget book because of ERP and the rate studies that are going on. I just decided to give staff a little.
I would say
extra time.
these are the 2 good ones. This one, which I don't really remember it being this fancy, and then the budget book. But so I was going to give the budget book out to somebody the other day, and I'm like, wait a minute, Where is it? So I'll give him this instead.
Do you need extra copies, sir, for your family members?
Do we want to go into any more detail on this? Okay, I know we've seen all this through the cost of service. Is there a motion to, what we're doing is
Receiving.
acknowledge receipt of this report?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed 4-0. Thank you, Levi.
Thank you
Well
very
done.
much. Have a great day.
Yeah, good presentation.
Well done, Levi. Appreciate you cutting it short, too.
Well, you gave us the option of continuing or.
Agreed,
I
agreed,
like that.
but, there's,
Let me move real quick here.
exactly.
Get out of here. All right, so, next, William with the, do we, no, we did receive written comment on this item, at least one? Did we get any
We
more than the one?
did. So I guess I'll start with the public comment portion. Yes, we received 2 letters of written comment, one from Pacific Institute and one from the law offices of Babak Nafisi. I probably pronounced that incorrectly, but both have been distributed to the board. We'll add it to the record. And then we do have a public speaker, which I imagine will speak after the staff's presentation. So I'll call that
Yeah,
speaker.
why don't we do that? We'll go, William, go ahead, and then we'll have the public comment, and then we'll have the board discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, President Powell and members of the board. My name for the record is William Patterson, Environmental Supervisor. Today, the Environmental Services Program is going to present the final environmental impact report for the Warp 4 Non-Potable Water Improvements Project. I want to thank the board for their time and review of the materials. We're pleased to get to this point, which is the culmination of 3 years of environmental review on this project. We've been in coordination with engineering and ESA consultants who are here today to provide a presentation to summarize that report. The actions that are requested today include certification of the final EIR, adoption of the mitigation monitoring and reporting program, adoption of the finding of facts, approval of the phase 1 only alternative, adoption of resolution 2026-05, and authorization to file a notice of determination with the Riverside County Clerk and State Clearinghouse. I will point out the staff is recommending approval of the phase 1 only alternative, which is identified in the final EIR as the environmentally superior alternative. The board may, in its own discretion, approve the proposed project or any of the project alternatives presented in the EIR. And that would result in actions 3 and 6 for those attachments to be edited to reflect the board's final decision. Additionally, staff is aware of a comment letter that was received ahead of the board meeting, which I've been asked to provide some clarification on. First, I'd like to acknowledge the Pacific Institute and their due diligence in this process. We've been working with them over the years, as well as all the commenters who have contributed information that has led to a more informed final EIR. However, the information that was recently received has been addressed in the final EIR, and those are very similar comments that have been received on the draft EIR. There was no new information that was provided that would warrant any additional discussion or review beyond what is already included in the final EIR. The comments alluded to project costs, which I'll point out are not environmental impacts under CEQA that are to be evaluated in this document and are not factors weighted in the board's decision today, which is focused on the environmental impacts under CEQA. There is a standard capital improvement project process that CBWD goes through to assess the financial impacts of the project and impact to ratepayers, which would be part of the ongoing and future approvals that are coming to the board. At this time, I'd like to introduce ESA consultants who have been working with our staff on this project. They're led by Principal Tom Barnes and Senior Environmental Consultant Sarah Spano. They have a presentation that summarizes the final EIR, and following that EIR, presentation will answer any questions that you may have. It summarizes about 1,000 pages of material in about 20 slides or so. So I appreciate your time and consideration. And with that, we can bring up Mr. Tom Barnes.
Well, and if I may, we also have my partner, Alicia Winterswijk from Best and Krieger, who's been helping with the legal analysis of this, and she's on the Zoom if there's any questions for her.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Thank you, William.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Tom Barnes with Environmental Science Associates. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present today on this project that we have been working on for quite some time. It's a 15 to 20 minute presentation. We go into depth to provide you some details about this rather large document and process. And I imagine I pushed that to move it forward. Yes, okay.
Good job.
So, thanks. Not my first rodeo on that one. Purpose of meeting, quickly first, an overview of this presentation of the WRP4 Non-Potable Water Improvement Project Environmental Impact Report. We're going to look at the contents, the conclusions, and the public participation process. And the purpose of that is for then the board to consider staff recommendations, which is to certify the final EIR pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act. I'll say CEQA from here on out, and then approve the phase 1 only alternative as a discretionary action.
You know what, I apologize for interrupting you,
Yes.
but I just was advised that we may have the incorrect PowerPoint slide. So if you can just give us a minute, staff is going to switch it out for you. So we don't want to
Okay.
have you go through the slides while it's an incorrect. So if you just wouldn't mind a minute, they'll
No
bring that up
problem.
for you. Thank you.
And I appreciate that accommodation. We so far the slides are similar, I think, in the versions, right? So that's good. And we just had a little formatting issue that we fixed. So we could do either one, but we'll wait for the updated one.
I guess I could ask if you've heard any good jokes.
I
lately,
know.
but-
Here I sit. I'm not going to go there, though. Thank you for the opportunity.
Understood. Discretion, the better part of valor. Silence is golden. Yeah, I don't have any either.
If my stepfather was here, he'd be.
Dad jokes, yeah.
Yeah,
I know. My
into
kids
it.
give me a hard time.
That's not me. Okay, great. That was very quick. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, so just finished this slide, and it is the phase 1 alternative that we're taking from the EIR that the staff is recommending for approval today, as opposed to the whole project, which was evaluated in the EIR phase 1, 2, and 3. So the description here is that the WRP4 Non-Potable Water Improvement Project would create a new water supply that would conserve groundwater and Colorado River water supplies while providing irrigation customers with recycled water supplies instead. So a new tertiary treatment facility would be constructed at the existing WRP4 site. New pump stations and conveyance pipelines would be constructed to convey that tertiary treated water to nearby agricultural customers. And the capacity of the project would ramp up in 3 phases. First phase would be 1 MGD, 1 million gallon per day. Second phase up to 2.5 million gallons per day. And then the third phase would take all of the inflow into WRP4 up to 10 million gallons per day. Currently, the inflow is about 5.7 million gallons per day, so that phase 3 at this point would treat 5.7 of that flow. And this is just a table summarizing that, phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 3 could be implemented by 2031 to 2045, so that's the time frame. A picture here then of phase 1 project components. The red hashed area is where the treatment facility would be constructed, the upgrades. Those purple pipes then would take treated water south to existing agricultural customers to the south. And that's the extent of phase 1. Phase 2 then and 3 are shown on this graphic, a little hard to see, but the light green lines would be the phase 2 distribution lines. And then phase 3 would go up to the northeast, and the blue lines to expand in this entire area as water is available for delivery. CEQA requires project objectives be identified clearly. And so the first overall objective and need is stated here that the project would benefit CBWD and the region by conserving groundwater and Colorado River water by providing irrigation customers with recycled water. And then these are the project objectives. They're here for the record. I won't read all of them, but they are to be consistent with the Sub-Basin Water Management Plan that was prepared for the Sustainability Groundwater Management Act purposes. So it is consistent with that. It also supports conservation efforts on the Colorado River and provides an alternative water supply, et cetera. We went through a public scoping process to begin with. CEQA requires a notice of preparation. We did that. We had a 30-day public review from October through November of 2023, held a public scoping meeting here in the Palm Desert on November 1st. We received 9 comment letters. Those letters focused on several things, but the concerns regarding the discharge to the Coachella Valley Storm Channel was a paramount concern of affected habitats and in the sea and ultimately indirectly to the Salton Sea itself, the flow reductions. So we looked at that, and firstly I'll start with our construction conclusions. The EIR has an extensive analysis of construction of this facility on the WRP4 site and the pipelines to be installed as well, looking at impacts to air quality, biology, cultural resources, hazards, noise, and tribal cultural resources. Each of those items have mitigation strategies attached to them. And ultimately, the EIR concludes that with implementation of these mitigation strategies, no significant environmental impact would occur from construction. With respect to the operational impacts, and in response to comments received in the notice of preparation process, we prepared 2 technical studies that focus on the effects of reducing the discharge into the storm channel. Firstly, we did Hydro 1, which was a hydraulic model, a HEC-RAS model that already exists for use on assessing flow in the Coachella Valley Storm Channel. We used that model to estimate the reductions in depth and wetted perimeter of the surface water within the channel. And you can see in this graphic, the blue line is the channel, and it has those light green slashes across it. Those are cross sections in the model, and each cross section has a geometry of the channel. So you can, with those cross sections that show geometry, you can see a flow as a depth and wetted perimeter impacts. So this is a typical model output graph. It's exaggerated vertically here, but it shows that phases 1 and 2 would reduce depth by about 2 to 5% of the remaining flow. Phase 3 could reduce up to 10% of the flow that exists in the stream or in the channel, flow coming from upstream, passing by the WRP4, such that at least 88% of the flow in the channel would remain. And as a result, you can see in this graphic, it illustrates how minor the effect of depth is. The conclusion in the EIR comes to this small reduction in depth and wetted perimeter would not reduce habitat, extent, or quality. And so impacts would be less than significant within the channel for biological resources. And of course, these cross sections go from just downstream of the WRP4 all the way to close to the Salton Sea. Second study that we did, Hydro 2, was more focused on the Salton Sea itself. We conducted a Salton Sea accounting model, which is developed by the Bureau of Reclamation and is used currently by the Department of Water Resources to evaluate elevation, salinity, and exposed playa area anticipated with flow reductions into the sea. It's a bathymetric and volumetric model. And the Department of Water Resources, DWR's long-range plan, estimates that in the future, by 2045, there could be a total of about 74,000 acres of exposed lake bed. Our analysis shows that at phase 3, with our contribution to that exposed lake bed, would be about 0.8% of the total. Phase 1 only is about 0.2% of the total of the exposed lake bed anticipated by DWR in 2045. And so the draft EIR concludes that the project's contribution to this exposed playa would not be cumulatively considerable and would not result in significant new dust emissions in the Imperial Valley and Coachella Valleys. Alternatives were looked at in the EIR as required by CEQA. No project alternative. Phase 1 only, which became the environmentally superior alternative, since it would accommodate much of the objectives but result in fewer impacts. Phase 1 and 2 was looked at. We looked at an alternative of if we just treated growth flows since 2016. 2016, the flow discharge was less than it is today. And then another alternative was to look at just treating future growth flows. And we also looked at the conservation-only alternative suggested by commenters to meet demands of the irrigation demands with only conservation and not providing recycled water as a result. We found that to be infeasible and of meeting the project objectives.
Could I ask you a question here? So
Sure, yeah.
you're recommending approval of Phase 1 only.
Yeah.
It's not long from now that we would be looking to do Phase 2. Are we going to have to redo this whole process for Phase 2?
You won't have to do the whole process over again. The EIR, if certified today, covers the analysis of Phase 1, 2, and 3. So if you chose, and you could select today to choose approval of the entire program and phase it appropriately. Or you could choose the staff recommendation of a Phase 1 only alternative. If you chose that, we'll do a notice of determination today, we'll talk about it in a second. And then if you decide to go to Phase 2 or Phase 3, you would come back to the board, staff would come back to the board with that request to adopt another notice of determination, which opens up a statute of limitations 30-day period for those second and third phases. So there is, staff would have to come back to the board prior to implementing 2 and 3.
I have a question.
Okay.
Are we required to mitigate anywhere the impacts that you call out to the Salton Sea?
The EIR concludes that the impacts to the Salton Sea are minor, de minimis, and no mitigation measures have been identified. So the answer is they're not required, according to the impact analysis. Continuing on then. Draft EIR.
I have a question. So your recommendation is to approve Phase 1 and then have us come back for Phase 2, for Phase 3 that would open up a 30-day period. Why wouldn't you recommend that we just approve all of it?
I think it's a staff decision, but the logic here is comments received on the draft EIR and on the NOP expressed concerns with the potential effects of the project. Phase 1 is the first step and is more closely ready to go, ready to be built, and that approval could happen timely. With the rest of the effects we looked at
But the report
later.
But the report addressed the concerns, right?
Yes.
So there's.
Yes.
I mean, we're gonna say, hey, we're gonna point to the report again.
Yes.
No,
So it just it seems like
Is there a time limit that we would have to do Phase 2 and 3?
No.
No.
It is assumed that in the analysis that Phase 2 would occur after Phase 1 and Phase 3 would occur after Phase 2. Up to 2045 would be the ultimate construction target.
I think one of the things that we might want to also consider is, because it is ultimately such a large project with a considerably larger impact, we want to be cautious in how we proceed. And at least with Phase 1, we can validate the analysis that has taken place, which we can then base Phase 2 and 3 on. But we're kind of just testing at this point. And this has been underway for, as you said, 3 years, but I think we've gone back to the state like 9 times for extensions on this process. And, you know, we really would like to take the first step, get something in the ground and proof of concept.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't want to go and have to redo everything for 2 or 3 if the rules change.
This is Alicia Winterswike. If I could interject here with respect to the structure of phase 2 and phase 3 and what that means for purposes of CEQA analysis.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Again, this is Alicia Winterswike with Best and Krieger, serving as special counsel to the district on this matter. The question before the board now with respect to what is the implication of only approving phase 1 today. As Tom mentioned, it is true that if you approve phase 1 today, you would do so only after certification of the environmental impact report that examines the effects of the project as a whole. And the project as a whole is defined in the EIR as phases 1, 2, and 3. So the CEQA analysis will give you clearance to proceed with each of those phases, either all at once today or in succession as you move forward and have additional information with respect to each phase. In the EIR, we do acknowledge that we have the most information and specificity at this point in time with respect to phase 1. To carry out phase 1. So we have significant level of detail in the EIR with regard to those impacts. As Mr. Barrett just identified, there will be some truing up that will occur, further engineering that will need to be done with respect to phases 2 and 3. And so even if you were to approve phases 2 and 3 today, it is possible that as we move forward in the engineering and planning process for those later phases, that we would need to come back to the board for consideration of proposed small tweaks or modifications to the approval to reflect the conditions that are identified based on that further analysis. So all of that is to say that it is possible that with all phased projects, future visits to the board would be necessary. Your approval today would give you a certification of an environmental impact report where the statute of limitations on this EIR, the whole of the analysis, would run 30 days from the filing and posting of that NOD. With respect to phases 2 and 3, when we have more detail on those phases and staff brings forward those details for your consideration, the way that the CEQA analysis would be structured is very streamlined. It wouldn't be a whole new EIR. It wouldn't be a whole new environmental impact report. Instead, what staff would present to you is an explanation as to whether or not phase 2, as designed at that time, has any impacts that are new or more significant from those that were disclosed in the EIR. So it's a very narrow analysis. It's not an opening up of the entirety of the project. It's just focused on the action that would be before you at that time. It is true that in making that determination, there would be a new CEQA statute of limitations that would attach to that decision that would run 30 days, again, from filing and posting of an NOD. But the challenge at that point wouldn't be to the project as a whole or the EIR as a whole. It would be with respect to that phase of the project specifically. And so again, as I mentioned at the outset, it is possible that even if you approve all the project as a whole today, there may be need to come back to you for project modifications once we have further engineering and design details about phases 2 and 3.
All right. That's a good answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Alicia. That was helpful. I'll continue then.
Please.
Okay. Draft EIR public review, 45 days in July 30th, 2025 through September 15th, 2025. And a public meeting was held on the 26th in Coachella.
Throughout that public review period, we had 14 comment letters listed here. The comments, every comment within each of these letters was addressed in the final EIR, was responded to. We included several master responses for comments that were common. The comments, although some minor revisions were made to the draft EIR, nothing major was made to the draft EIR, and the master responses explain that. I'd like to go through 3 or 4 of common themes for you, just to get a sense of what the comments entailed. Firstly, impacts to habitats. The reduced discharge into the Coachella Valley stream, storm channel and Salton Sea. With the technical analysis that we did, hydraulic modeling, the results show that the minor reduction in depth, as I said before, within the channel from reduced discharges would not reduce extent or quality of riparian or aquatic habitats used by sensitive species, either in the channel or at the edge of the sea, and sufficient flow would remain in the channel to support existing habitats. And as I said before, that's the conclusion in the EIR. With respect to air quality and lakebed exposure, the response is that the proposed project would contribute up to 0.8% of the total future exposed lakebed. The EIR models the effect and concludes that the contribution would be minor and would not contribute significantly to regional dust emissions. And also, the area of exposed lakebed contributable to the proposed project, the perimeter of the sea, is within the area footprint of the areas targeted by the SSMP, the DWR's Salton Sea Management Plan, for dust suppression projects that will occur with or without the proposed project. There was a preference for the conservation-only alternative, and the response, as I said before, was the EIR concludes that the water conservation-only alternative would not meet the project objectives of a new water supply that would reliably reduce groundwater extraction and would not conserve Colorado River as a result. Potential impacts to the Salton Sea Management Plan North Lake Habitat Restoration Project was a comment. And our response in the master responses is that groundwater modeling conducted for the district's 2022 Water Management Plan shows that sufficient flows will remain available from the Coachella Valley, including flows in the storm channel, to support the full implementation of the North Lake Habitat Restoration Project. So with the implementation of the SIGMA required management actions, the cumulative flows from the Coachella Valley will continue to be available to support that project. So the final EIR then is constructed of the full draft with the minor edits made and strikeout underlined, all comments received, all responses to those comments, any corrections made to the text of the draft EIR, and then the full mitigation monitoring and reporting plan. That's all what's within the final EIR itself. The response to comments were sent to each commenter on April 17th as required by CEQA. As we discussed earlier, this is phase 1 alternative is staff recommendation, which would have similar impacts to the proposed project except for air quality, where the MX would be fewer. The EIR identified phase 1 alternative as the environmentally superior, and then staff recommends approval for the phase 1 alternative with adoption of the MMRP. This graph then is just thrown in here to show you what we've been through and where we are in the process, right? So the green is the initial scoping process, where we had a scoping meeting and opened up to public participation there with a 30-day public review. Then the blue area is where we went and did the analysis based on the comments we received and published a draft EIR. And then the orange, this is the CEQA process, then you get to the final. And we are at the final now, at the certification process. In the far upper right corner, only for your consideration today, and then if you consider certifying the EIR, we would issue the notice of determination, and that would conclude the CEQA process for this project. So then we are here. There you go. This is just a summary then of what's in the agenda, the last slide of the presentation, and it is the recommendations of for your consideration today to certify the EIR, adopt the MMRP, adopt findings of fact, which is a CEQA requirement that compiles all significant conclusions of the document, and then approve phase 1 only alternative, and authorize the filing of a notice of determination
that the phase one alternative is approved for construction pursuant to CEQA guidelines. So that concludes my presentation. I'm certainly available for questions if there are any.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I don't have any questions.
You can't say we didn't vet this project thoroughly.
Yeah, no, I know.
After 3 years, we've gone.
Yeah.
Seems like
Yeah, I
we've
think
turned over every rock.
all right.
I'm just. Go
ahead.
I'm still debating on whether we should just approve phase one or if we should just approve all phases, with the understanding that if something changes significantly, you would bring it back anyways. I'm just trying to figure out, what if it doesn't change? What is that? What if nothing changes and everything's okay to move forward?
And I think my partner has some comments about how that would change what you'd be voting on today.
I mean, that's
Right,
that's
some of
just more for the board.
Alicia.
I think that's what we need to
Yeah.
figure out is do we want to?
I had the same thoughts. I think we're okay doing one. It doesn't sound like, it sounds like we might be a little smarter after another year or two. And don't know that anything will change.
We just don't want to have a stranded asset because it doesn't make sense to spend all this money for just phase one, in my opinion. So, if we're only going to do phase one and never do any more, it doesn't make sense. You have to envision the growth for the
Yeah,
future.
yeah.
That's what we're investing in. This is an investment for the future.
Yeah, I agree. My only concern is that we may not have sufficient background or foundation to be able to adopt 2 and 3, and if that makes it more subject to challenge. Jeff?
Yes, maybe Alicia, you could talk to that, and then also what the recommendation would be different.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to do that, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. So with respect to the structure of the environmental impact report, the environmental impact report did identify the phase one only alternative as the environmentally superior alternative. As Mr. Barnes mentioned in his presentation, we did receive comments on the larger project and as a whole. And while many commenters were concerned about any reduction in flows at all, it seemed that the larger the flow reduction, the more their concern grew. And so as the environmentally superior alternative at this point in time, it appears that we have sufficient information to justify the benefits of this project from an environmental perspective. We're able to mitigate all of the impacts to a less than significant level. We do not have any significant unavoidable impacts. And so there is justification from an environmental perspective for moving forward on phase one. I do hear the comments and understand the concern about having, stranded assets and not wanting to unnecessarily commit to phase one without the possibility of phases 2 and 3. And so with respect to that point, if the board were to approve phase one today, it would in no way preclude the board from pursuing and implementing phases 2 and 3 in the future. We do have this foundational environmental analysis that clears the way for the full project, all 3 phases together. We have identified impacts that can be reduced to a less than significant level. So again, from a CEQA perspective, you would have clearance to proceed. If you were to decide today to deviate from staff's recommendation and to instead pursue approval of all 3 phases, the whole of the project, at this point in time, we wouldn't be able to take all of the recommended actions that are outlined in the staff report and in the PowerPoint presentation that was shown on your screen. What I mean by that is that there are limitations on the way that we have structured the agenda materials that are in front of you.
The resolution acknowledges the environmentally superior alternative as the phase one alternative. Your approval is set up in that resolution for phase one only. So if the board were to desire the whole project be approved, today you could certify the EIR, you could adopt the MMRP, and you could adopt the findings of fact, but you would not approve phase one, and you would not be able to adopt resolution 2026-05 because the resolution is set up for approval of phase one. We would have to modify that resolution and bring it back for the board to consider approval of the proposed project as analyzed in the EIR, which includes all three phases. Similarly, we wouldn't be able to file an NOD tomorrow or later today. If you were to take action today on phase one, we would of course file that NOD today. But if we have to delay consideration in order to bring back a clean resolution for the whole of the project, that would mean delay of filing and posting the NOD.
And so to the question of the recommendation, of course, there's no guarantee, but this has been set up today in what we consider to be a very strong, legally defensible process. To Director Aguilar's question about, is this the recommended process legally in terms of what's best to set us up for having this be defensible?
Yeah, I think
is that correct, Alicia?
I
I'm
think
sorry.
your question
Yes,
was
Jeff,
more,
that's correct.
would we'd be at greater risk of challenge if we didn't follow the recommendation? And it sounds like the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're only, regardless of how we approve this EIR right now with phase 1, 2, or 3, we're only moving on phase 1 with construction, right?
Correct.
So it doesn't really change what we're planning on building, at least.
I don't think so.
And the concern that I was having too is from the perspective of this coming back at a later time and opening up the door for another period of challenge, right? When we're adopting a document here that says that phase 1 is the only alternative, the preferred. It just, I feel like someone could just point to that and say you already agreed with it.
Chair and Vice Chair, I could address that question if you would like.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So with respect to future claims that, we've already committed to only phase 1, that would be true as of today's action. But when we go to take future action, we would have to explain those implementing steps associated with phase 2. So by approving phase 1 only today, you're not locked in to only phase 1. Your EIR still evaluates the whole of the project and the impacts associated with the whole of the project. So we have clearance by certifying that EIR with respect to each of the subsequent phases as discussed in the EIR.
And very likely, or we would need to come back anyways for phases 2 and 3 with some CEQA analysis, even if we were to approve the entire thing today.
Precisely.
That's correct. That, and I'd just like to add, that is part of the staff recommendation, is proceeding with caution, as Jim mentioned, at each phase of the project to reiterate what was certified today, or to identify what additional actions may be needed under CEQA to proceed. And some of that is in acknowledging the long lead time that this project has, where particularly for phase 3, that is a long lead time out, and we have to have growth flows materialize in the valley to achieve that. So there's uncertainty on the time frame that could take place, where CBWD would be, by selecting the environmentally superior alternative, taking the most responsible path under CEQA to move forward in each phase of the project.
Well, sounds like we're going to do one. So
yeah, I mean, I would say I'm in favor of the whole project, but it sounds like the most logical step right now is to do staff recommendation.
and move on.
If I may, we do have a public speaker on this item, if I'm correct.
Oh, yeah.
Still, yeah, that
Do
we
we?
had not got to. So if we'd like to give that individual time to
Yes,
speak now.
please.
So Joanne Taylor, please.
Come on up.
3 minutes, right?
Good morning.
Try and race through. Good morning. My name is Joan Taylor. I represent Sierra Club. I want to point out that you can't piecemeal a project under CEQA. The EIR addresses the whole of the project, and it is deficient in our view. It fails to clarify and identify all the direct, indirect, and cumulative impacts to the north end of the Salton Sea. Notice I say the north end. So doing, it fails as an informational and action document under CEQA. While the combination to CVWD's overall water supply may be de minimis of this project, I can't tell, it's 6 or 10,000 acre feet a year. The adverse impacts to the north end of the Salton Sea are more than 10 times. It has a limited water supply, and this will withdraw 6 to 10,000 acre feet of 70,000 acre feet. That is not a fraction of a percent. The context is that limited amount to do remedial projects at the north end of the Salton Sea where people live closest and where the ecosystem needs to be restored. It also ignores the context of the increasing drought on the Colorado River Basin and the effects it will have on CVWD's allotment and therefore on the 70,000 acre feet that currently flows. Instead, it relies on the 22 water management plan, and that's misplaced. Not only is there extraordinary drought and unpredictable future on this Colorado River, the EIR the 22 plan didn't contemplate the current reductions that IID and CVWD are doing right now, and will be probably forced to do more in the future. More importantly, where the underserved communities live closest, the EIR continually makes the assertion that the effects on the overall lake are de minimis, but the dust generated off nearby playa is not de minimis for those communities. It'll blow right in their face. The diminished water to implement the plan for the North Lake and the potential benefits to ecosystem and the local economy are not de minimis. We're talking 8 to 17% of the water flow. Instead of analyzing the project in the context of limited fresh water, it compares the effect of the project on the entire Salton Sea. Now, that's absurd. Yeah, it's very small in that context. Most of the water comes from IID. Context is everything. So this continual distortion of the context does not serve as an informational document. The USGS report relied on in the DIR also didn't consider the growing drought on the Colorado River Basin. The project's adverse effects on the environment, health, ratepayers, etc., should be analyzed, and the EIR really needs to be revised to give an unbiased assessment of the impact, to examine the alternative conservation, the extravagant and wasteful, unused grass everywhere, the lakes, the fountains, the water features. These are really extravagant is a kind word to use, completely irresponsible. Those should be the first to go, rather than impairing the Salton Sea North End community's health and the ecosystem remediation plans that are proposed. I have a few submittals for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comment?
I do not have any.
No, hearing none. All right, back to the action item here.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So this is approval of the recommended action, which is all 6 steps.
Correct.
That's correct.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passed 4-0. Okay, good. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thanks, William. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Alicia. Thank you, Joan.
Where are we? Written.
Informational items.
Yep. On to 9A, written communications as shown on the board packet. Let these guys get organized out there.
I think Sammy's coming up.
Sammy with the presentation on the
ERP.
ERP. I saw a lot of green on there. That's good.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Cleared out the room.
Good morning, President Powell. Good morning, directors of the board. My name is Samantha Lopez, and I'm here to present the quarterly update for the ERP and utility billing system implementations. This is our program timeline. Dates remain the same since our last update. Payroll and time tracking activities will begin on August 22nd, which is at the beginning of a pay period. Finance and utility billing will go live on September 7th. We have 85 working days until we go live.
85.
This is another high-level overview of the program timeline that highlights the deployment phases. Each phase will include a stabilization period where the vendors will help with any needed adjustments. SpryPoint utility billing system has a 16-week stabilization period. Workday Finance and HCM will have a 12-week stabilization period, and the Workday Adaptive Planning Budgeting System will have a 4-week stabilization period. During the last quarter, our partner Barry Dunn completed various activities to help support the project's success. Both the Workday and SpryPoint projects are in the configuration and testing phases, and they are progressing on track. The overall project is in green status. Schedule and issues remain in yellow status. At this stage, non-critical items are being documented and enhancement requests are strategically being placed in a parking lot for future consideration. Scope is trending yellow as both CVWD and SpryPoint currently have limited capacity to support any increase in scope. It is important to note that the project has not reached red status at any point, and issues have consistently been mitigated as they arise. Our teams continue building and testing in parallel, maintaining weekly checkpoints with vendors and business leads to track progress and mitigate any potential impacts. This slide highlights the Workday project milestones and deliverables. During the last 16 months, many of the items have been completed, with 18 of 23, which is 78% of the milestones achieved, and only 5 or 22% remaining prior to go live. For the Workday project, the past quarter included several key accomplishments, with the most significant being end-to-end testing. This phase involved 13 weeks of thorough testing to make sure the system works as expected. We walk through real-life processes from start to finish and often across multiple departments to confirm everything flows correctly and functions the way it should. In total, the team completed 483 scenarios across HR and finance, and we identified and resolved 720 issues, helping refine and strengthen the system. This was a significant effort by staff and a major step forward, ensuring a smooth go-live. Now I will turn it over to my co-project manager, Matt Grigsby, and he's going to provide an update on the SpryPoint project, and then I will come back for the budget update.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sammy. Morning, Matt.
Morning. Morning, President Powell, members of the board. Like Sammy said, my name is Matthew Grigsby. I'll be presenting the quarterly update for the SpryPoint utility billing system. The following slides depict a project summary that outlines several milestones and deliverables that have been completed over the past few months. On this slide, these milestones include delivery of several integration elements to the Workday ERP, and deliverables related to the user acceptance testing phase of the project. Under the project health summary, scope and schedule are both in yellow status, indicating these items are currently issues and need to be closely managed by SpryPoint and CVWD. The scope is in yellow status due to potential modifications requiring additional effort from SpryPoint's limited development resources. The schedule is in yellow status as modification requests put pressure on the delivery of future milestones that must be completed prior to our go-live date. To mitigate these challenges, SpryPoint has implemented a change control process wherein we formally submit change requests for review. During this process, we capture the business need for each request, categorize them to determine if they are go-live critical. In collaboration with SpryPoint, CVWD decides which requests need to be completed ahead of go-live and what current or pending development work can be pushed after go-live if needed. On this slide, we can see a summary of recent accomplishments and upcoming activities for the SpryPoint implementation. CVWD staff and SpryPoint to continue to work through several phases in parallel, with the analysis phase sitting at 97% complete, configuration at 73%, testing and training at 32%, and deploy at 1%. A key milestone identified on this slide is the user acceptance testing round 1, which began on March 30th and is scheduled to conclude on May 29th. During this period, staff are testing core business processes to ensure the SpryPoint environments meet operational requirements. Round 2 of user acceptance testing will cover additional business processes that are currently being developed. Staff continue to work on all aspects of implementing the SpryPoint solution, which includes ongoing configuration efforts, recurring integration development sessions, integration testing, and enhancement walkthroughs. Before I pass this back over to Sammy, I'll pause here for any questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so the budget is currently on track. The line item for CVWD internally staff was originally estimated at $500,000 per year. We increased that in the current fiscal year to an additional $1 million. While this may appear to be over budget, it reflects a shift in funding rather than an increase in total spending. Existing labor costs will be reallocated from various departments to the capital improvement budget. An additional board action item will be brought forward for fiscal year 26-27 as the proposed budget is being finalized. The overall program is in green status. Both the Workday project and SpryPoint project are currently in the testing phase and progressing on track. This is all for our update, unless anybody has any questions.
No?
Very good.
Yeah, getting there, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, again, I'm very pleased with how staff is approaching this and working through the issues. It is trying, working with the vendors who obviously have different priorities aside from getting the work done, which I think they are helpful. But as I think Sammy pointed out, there are some staffing issues. We've tried to work through those ourselves by hiring temp folks. I don't know that the vendors have been as willing to bring on additional personnel, and that does create a little tension in accommodating the schedule. But very pleased with how Scott and Carla and Luis and Scott Hunter, who's doing the human capital, and all of the primary folks underneath those department head leads have been doing an outstanding job. And we wouldn't be this far along on such a critical item without the conscientious efforts of all those involved. So very pleased and very proud to be part of the organization as we bring this to delivery.
Glad to hear that. Great. Moving on here. Board general comments. Director Aguilar.
Do you have any comments?
Sorry, no, I have no comments.
No comments.
I got the nonverbal head shake. I wasn't sure. Sometimes I do that just to wake myself up.
That's funny.
I don't either. So do we have any board requests for future agenda items?
Mr. President, I do want to just mention that we did have in public comment today a request for a discussion on a future agenda, the ID8 process. And I'm wondering if General Manager would have any comment on if that would be appropriate,
Yeah.
given the Mission Springs meeting, or what your recommendation would be.
Yeah, I'll give that a little thought and be able to provide a comment later.
Okay.
I appreciate the question.
Sure.
Yes, we're all thinking the same thing. Okay. Board meeting reports. We have April 15th, Director Aguilar.
So on the 15th, I think it's the 4th or 5th annual Coachella Valley Vendor Fair was held in Palm Springs at the Convention Center. Our staff, under the direction of Kim Baker, did a really excellent job, both in presenting information about our procurement process. They put together this really cool brochure that was distributed, and I think very well received. It talks about our procurement process. And I also spoke along with members of the Palm Desert Council, Palm Springs Council, but I was the only speaker representing special districts. So I really appreciate the opportunity to expose more vendors to our business opportunities. So
Thank you. And then we had our special meeting on the 21st. Those attending were noted. Golf and Water, were you there, Director Bianco?
Yes. Basically, talked a little bit about the Gulf high water consumption, specifically here in the beginning of this year. And that was all due to some, 10 days of record-breaking temperatures that didn't just break records, they shattered them. You can see that in the water use. We also, staff gave us an update on their mapping project, which is they're currently working on. They're making some progress.
Good. Living Desert?
I was not there.
Okay.
And I was not there for La Quinta.
Okay. Do we have any other meetings to report on? Go ahead, John.
I do, John, want to mention that on the 23rd, I participated in a call with the Bureau of Reclamation that was originally designed to include Commissioner Palumbo, but he was not able to attend. He had some other staff members attend to discuss the reallocation of the $1 million from the commitments agreement to the authority. And so we had a discussion. Costello was there as well, obviously. And the outcome of that discussion was they referred it back down the ladder to a regional manager for future discussion. So no action was taken.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? We have a motion to approve per diem for those meetings reported.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pass 3-0. And let's see, General Manager report.
No, sir, nothing at this time.
Council.
None tonight or today.
Departments. Hearing
Good,
none.
good. None.
At this time, the board will recess into closed session to consider the two cases listed on the agenda. Following closed session, we will reconvene in open session to report out. Is reconvened. Hello, everybody. There's nobody here. There's no reportable action from closed session, and with no further business, we're adjourned.
Thank you, John.